There are 5 reasons Gemini carries the kind of mystery that makes people lean in, then step back, then lean in again. It starts with an uncomfortable truth most casual astrology never touches. Gemini can sense what lies behind your words in seconds, yet their own inner world stays coded, layered, and just out of reach. They can charm with a sentence so precise it feels like fate, and they can cut with a sentence so clean it feels like silence. Gemini is the sign that moves like air through a room, but leaves fingerprints on the soul. What looks light is often strategy. What sounds playful is often perception. What seems open is usually a door that only swings one way. Gemini is not superficial. That label is the Zodiac's laziest excuse for what it cannot easily explain. Gemini is complex, restless, radiant, and sometimes frighteningly accurate about people. There's an old myth of twins, yes, but the deeper truth is that Gemini lives between worlds. The world of what is said and the world of what is meant. The world of what is shown and the world of what is hidden. The world of emotion and the world of observation. If you were born under Gemini, you already know the feeling of being understood by everyone and still not being fully seen by anyone. If you love a Gemini, you already know the sensation of thinking you've decoded them, only to realize you were holding one page from an entire library. On Astro Gemini, we go past the easy stereotypes and into the real architecture of the signs. So subscribe now and stay close, because what you're about to hear is the kind of insight that rearranges how you read people, how you read love, and how you read yourself. In the comments, share your date of birth and your zodiac sign, so this space becomes a living map of who's listening and what energies are gathered here. The mystery is not a performance, it is a pattern, it is a spiritual signature. And Gemini, more than most, carries a signature written in shifting ink. The first secret is the one everyone thinks they understand, until they actually experience it. Gemini is never just one. This is not a cute personality trait. It is not a party trick. It is a genuine inner multiplicity, a mind and soul that can hold opposites without collapsing. Gemini is traditionally ruled by Mercury, the messenger, the translator, the one who moves between realms. But Mercury was also the trickster, the shapeshifter, the one who understood that survival sometimes depends on speed, adaptation, and disguise. That mythic imprint lives in Gemini. A Gemini can inhabit different versions of themselves without lying, because each version is real. It is like a mirror cracked by lightning. Every fragment reflects the same face from a different angle. People stare at one reflection and believe they've met the whole person. Meanwhile, the other reflections remain active, thinking, feeling, watching, learning, behind the glass. This is why Gemini can feel impossible to hold, not because they lack depth, but because their depth doesn't sit still. One moment, they are warm, attentive, soft enough to make you feel safe. Another moment, they are distant, sharp, quiet enough to make you feel the room turn colder. Both are true. Both are them. Gemini does not always switch because they want to confuse you. They switch because their inner climate changes faster than most people can track. Their emotional weather moves like wind, invisible, powerful, sudden. Loving Gemini requires accepting that the real Gemini is not one consistent mask. The real Gemini is the entire shifting sky. The second secret explains why speaking with Gemini can feel like stepping into a hallway that keeps branching. The Gemini mind is an infinite labyrinth. It isn't only intelligence, it's velocity, it's layered attention. While someone else is walking carefully down one line of thought, Gemini has already explored multiple outcomes, mapped the emotional consequences, and chosen the sentence that produces the cleanest result. Mercury's influence isn't just communication, it's the speed of connection. How quickly one idea links to another, how rapidly a conversation becomes a web of signals. Gemini hears the words, yes, but also the rhythm, the hesitation, the pressure behind the tone. Gemini notices the micro shifts that betray what someone is trying not to reveal. Picture a vast library built by a mind that never sleeps. Corridors everywhere. Doors that open into more doors. Every answer leading to more angles. This is the Gemini interior. They can talk about ordinary things and simultaneously analyze the entire room. They can laugh and still be scanning. They can appear fully present and still be running the past, the future, and the hidden meaning of the moment at the same time. To people who move slower, this feels like mind reading. It feels like being slightly behind no matter how hard you try. Gemini doesn't always mean to dominate a conversation, but their mind is already moving when other minds are still starting. The darkest part is that brilliance can become torment. A mind that never powers down can become a cage with golden bars. Too many thoughts, too many possibilities, too many realities competing for attention. Gemini often learns early to cope by turning everything into motion, humor, curiosity, change, stimulation, because stillness can feel like drowning in their own mental ocean. People call it restless. The truth is sharper. The mind is so active that peace has to be built deliberately, like a sanctuary carved from noise. Halfway through this, if the words are resonating, tap the like button so Astro Gemini reaches the people who need clarity, not cliches. The more this message spreads, the more people stop mislabeling Gemini and start understanding what they really carry. Because the third secret is where Gemini becomes truly dangerous, not in a villain sense, but in a power sense. Gemini is the guardian of forbidden secrets. They don't just hear your stories, they absorb your subtext. They collect human truth the way a storm collects electricity. Gemini has a way of drawing confessions out of people without force. It can feel like warmth, like safety, like effortless conversation. But underneath that ease is a precise sensitivity. Gemini reads the gaps between sentences. They notice what you skip. They notice what you rush past. They notice which word you avoid, which memory makes your eyes change, which joke you tell when you're afraid of sincerity. They can store your fears, your desires, your contradictions, and your old wounds like files in a hidden vault. Not always out of malice, often out of instinct. Gemini is a natural archivist of the human psyche, and once something enters a Gemini vault, it rarely leaves. Gemini doesn't forget how you reacted when you felt exposed. Gemini doesn't forget the first time you tried to hide something and failed. Gemini can learn you so completely that you start to feel like they're holding a map of you that you never even drew for yourself. This is why separating from a Gemini can feel strangely complicated. It isn't only heartbreak. It's the lingering sensation that a person out there knows your inner wiring. When someone has truly seen your patterns, a part of you remains mirrored in their memory. Gemini doesn't have to chase you to remain present. Their knowing can be its own kind of tether. Then comes the fourth secret, the one that breaks the heart when you finally recognize it, the unbreakable mask. Gemini can shine while collapsing inside. They can make others laugh while swallowing their own sadness. They can turn pain into performance so smoothly that people assume they are fine. This is not always strength. Sometimes it is survival. Mercury's myth carries the theme of shape-shifting, adaptation, constant movement between worlds. Gemini inherits this. They become what the environment needs, the witty one, the bright one, the capable one, the one who keeps things light. Not because they are fake, but because they learned early that being easy to be around is safer than being fully seen. A Gemini life can start to feel like a stage where the curtains never close. Different faces for different rooms, different tones for different people, different versions of okay for different days. And over time, the mask becomes automatic. It can be so perfected that even Gemini begins to wonder where the mask ends and the self begins. The tragedy isn't that Gemini deceives others. The tragedy is that Gemini can protect others from their intensity so well that no one realizes how intense it really is. Their joy can be immense, electric, contagious. Their pain can be just as intense, double-edged, fast-moving, difficult to name. They may hide it not to trick you, but to spare you, because if you saw the full storm, you might not know how to stay. Now the fifth secret is the one that changes the entire meaning of Gemini mystery, the divided soul. Inside Gemini lives a sacred split, one part built for this world, another part pulled toward the stars. The constellation's twin story echoes something deeper than personality. It speaks of being two things at once, mortal and celestial, grounded and cosmic, present and elsewhere. There is an ancient ache inside Gemini that looks like restlessness from the outside, but is closer to homesickness on the inside. Not homesickness for a place on Earth, but for a wholeness that feels just out of reach, like a missing half of the self that lives on another plane. This is why Gemini can connect with almost anyone and still feel lonely. They speak to people easily, but the deepest part of them is always searching for a frequency that matches both halves of their being. This is why Gemini can master many subjects and still feel unfinished, not because they are incapable of commitment, but because their spirit keeps sensing horizons beyond the current one. This is why they can love intensely and still carry the quiet energy of goodbye. Not because they are heartless, but because the divided soul is always aware that nothing in this world feels completely permanent. Gemini loves while knowing how quickly seasons can change. Gemini holds while feeling the wind. When you understand this, the mystery stops looking like manipulation and starts looking like a cosmic burden. Gemini isn't simply hiding. Gemini is protecting the seam where two worlds meet inside them. They are translators of invisible things, bridges between mind and emotion, between what humans say and what humans mean. They can appear inconsistent because they're trying to make peace between two inner truths at once. And that is the final reveal. The deepest Gemini mystery is not the secrets they keep from you. It is the longing they carry for inner unity. So the 5 reasons Gemini remains the most mysteriously powerful sign become clear in one continuous thread. First, the infinite duality, not as a cute label, but as real multiplicity. Second, the labyrinth mind, fast enough to feel supernatural, heavy enough to become a cage. Third, the guardian of secrets, instinctively collecting human truth and storing it in a private vault. Fourth, the unbreakable mask, turning pain into light so others don't have to hold their darkness. Fifth, the divided soul, living between earth and sky, always searching for the missing half of itself. If you made it this far, it means something in this touched a truth you recognize. So subscribe to Astro Gemini and stay with us, because this channel is built for people who want depth, not stereotypes. Hit like again if you felt seen by these words. And leave your date of birth and zodiac sign in the comments to anchor your energy here with the rest of the community. Share this with the Gemini in your life who never feels fully understood, and with the person who keeps calling Gemini too much, when the truth is, they are simply too wide to fit into small labels. The universe always speaks in patterns, and Gemini is one of its most intricate languages. If you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel.